Good day, Angelinians. Paxet Venya Adeo. In this video, we are going to talk about critical reading skills. Critical reading means that a reader applies certain processes, models, questions, and theories that result in enhanced clarity and comprehension. Critical reading is a more active way of reading. It is a deeper and more complex engagement with a text. It is also a process of analyzing, interpreting, and evaluating a text. A critical reader questions the author's choice of words, drawn up conclusions, presented theories, writing style, potential bias, and use of evidence. In other words, you don't read passively or merely for pleasure. Instead, when you're reading something with a critical mindset, you want to get to the bottom of the text. You are looking to challenge any norms or standards or strategies used in the creation of the text so that you can form an original opinion about it. Let us now begin by understanding first the concept of critical reading compared to non critical reading. In non critical reading, the purpose is to get a basic grasp of the text. These readers gain knowledge by memorizing the statements within a text. On the other hand, the purpose of critical reading is to form judgments about how a text works. In non critical reading, it gives the basic definition of a text. Okay? It is reading to find out facts. While critical reading, this reflects on what the text does by making a judgment. Okay? Here, the reader analyzes the validity of the facts in the text. Example, uh, if the text says, plants can make their own food. Okay, so a non critical reader, okay, would know or would find out that plants can read or can make their own food. On the other hand, if a critical reader reads this text, plants can make their own food, the critical reader will question himself or will ask himself, can plants really make their own food? How? Is there a scientific term for this process? Next, in non critical reading, its central idea is the message being imparted. So here, this is seeing what the topic is about. Unlike in critical reading, the goal here is to recognize the author's purpose in writing the material. Okay? This is seeing how the topic is presented. Okay? The reader understands the tone and the persuasive elements in the text, and the reader would also recognize if there is bias in the text. Non critical reading recognizes what a text says. Unlike in critical reading, it does not only recognize what a text says, it also reflects on what the text does and infers on what the text means. In non critical reading, the reader absorbs, and understands. Okay? The reader here absorbs the text passively. Unlike in critical reading, the reader actively recognizes and analyzes evidence in the text. Um, Here, the reader responds actively to the text. Okay? He begins to question the claims or arguments of the author. A non critical reader might read a history book to learn the facts of the situation or to discover an accepted interpretation of those events, while a critical reader might read the same work to appreciate how a particular perspective on the events and a particular selection of facts can lead to a particular understanding. A non critical reader only absorbs and understands the text. A critical reader goes beyond absorbing and understanding. He analyzes, interprets, or evaluates the text. A non critical reader focuses on what the text says rather than what the text means or does. When a non critical reader is assigned to read a text, he would ask questions such as: what is the text about? What information can I get out of it? While you can expect a lot of questions from a critical reader, questions such as: how does it work? How is it argued? What are the choices made? What kinds of reasoning and evidence are used? What are the underlying assumptions? Whenever you read something and you evaluate claims, seek definitions, judge information, demand proof, and question assumptions, you are thinking critically. This type of reading goes beyond passively understanding a text because you process the author's words and make judgments after carefully considering the reader's message. As a student, it is therefore essential for you to practice reading critically. Without this skill, a reader may run the risk of simply memorizing texts and accepting them, even if they are flawed, biased, and subjective. At this point, it is essential that you learn about the techniques to develop your critical reading skills. So, first, we have keeping a journal. A reading journal is similar to keeping a diary, except you are writing your feelings and ideas in reaction to your reading assignment. In addition to note taking, it is often helpful to regularly record your responses and thoughts in a more permanent place that is yours to consult. By developing a habit of reading and writing in conjunction, both skills will improve. Next, we have annotating the text. This simply means making notes on your copy of the reading. One of the first strategies to begin with is annotating the text. When you annotate, you underline important parts of the text, such as the thesis statement, topic sentences, and explanatory materials. Annotating may also include encircling keywords and writing comments or questions you have about the material in the margins. This is also a very good way to mark a material that needs to be studied for exams. Here's an example of an annotated text. So you may encircle words, you may write your comments there. If you have questions, you may also write them there. Next, we have outlining a text. Creating a rough outline of the text will also be helpful in getting to understand it more critically. This can be used as a preliminary to summarizing. Outlining allows you to identify the basic structure of a text and the main ideas of the text. In an outline, you are listing the main ideas and supporting evidence. It is especially important to be able to distinguish between the two. Use your own words when outlining a text. Here is a sample outline. Next, we have summarizing the text. Summarizing the text is similar to outlining in that you need to get the gist or the essence or meaning. Summarizing creates a new text by synthesizing the material of the original. After outlining the text, the information is put together in your own words. Summarization fosters understanding of the text, as you need to be able to recreate the meaning of the text in your own words. This is just a review. A summary is an objective, short written presentation in your own words of ideas, facts, events in a single piece of text. On the other hand, a synthesis is a combination of several texts into a single one, which aims to create an understanding or original perspective of the information in those texts. Next is questioning the text. Questioning the text involves asking specific questions on points that you are skeptical about. These may be points that do not meet your expectations or agree with your personal views. Alternately, you should also take note of things that you found impressive. The following questions may be asked. What type of audience is addressed? What are the writer's assumptions? What are the writer's intentions? How convincing is the evidence presented? How reliable are the sources? Are they based on personal experience, scientific data, or outside authorities? Sometimes our beliefs about an issue are difficult to express because they are so deep rooted. In order to discover these beliefs, it is important to explore how a text challenges you. Does it make you feel disturbed, threatened, ashamed, or inspired? Many of you may have a strong reaction to some of the essays you read. Well, this reaction is a good example of an occasion when this type of reading strategy can be used. In order to do this, you might try the following. First, you identify the points in the text where you feel your beliefs are being challenged. Second, choose one or two of the most troubling challenges and analyze your feelings about them. After learning about the techniques, it is now time for you to be familiarized with the concepts related to analyzing and identifying claims. Critical reading also means that you are able to distinguish the information that is clearly stated in the text from ideas that are suggested. Information that is clearly stated, we call that explicit, while ideas that are suggested are what we call implicit. This will help you make inferences about what you read. Explicit and implicit come from the Latin words explicitus and implicatus, which mean to unfold and to entwine, respectively. Implicit information is something that is implied but not stated outright in the text. Because the idea is not written in the text, you need to use the clues in the text to make an inference on what you have read. An inference is a conclusion that you make based on explicit information and your reasoning and background knowledge. At this point, knowing how to identify explicit and implicit information will help you in one of the most important skills needed in critical reading, and that is evaluating the claims made by an author. The claim is the most important part of the text, as this is the writer's point or position about a topic. This is also the central argument or the thesis statement of the text. A claim is a debatable statement that an author is trying to persuade you to accept, something not everyone will agree to. To identify the claims, you focus on the first and last sentences of a paragraph. The details will guide you as to whether the text supports or opposes a claim or argument. An argument is an attempt to persuade the readers to change their attitude, belief, or behavior by providing one or more reasons. The main parts of an argument are the main claim and supporting reasons. The following are the characteristics of good claims. First, a claim should be argumentative and debatable. When you make a claim, you are arguing for a certain interpretation or understanding of your subject. A claim should be specific and focused. The complexity, effectiveness, and quality of the entire paper hinges on the claim. A claim should be interesting and engaging. Well, if your claim is boring or obvious, the rest of the paper probably will too. A claim should be logical. A claim defines your paper's goals, direction, and scope, and it must be supported by evidence, quotations, argumentation, expert opinion, statistics, and telling details. Now that you know the characteristics of a good claim, you will be introduced to the different types of claim that a writer can make. You can usually determine this by examining the type of questions they answer about the text. First is the claim of fact. The claim of fact states a quantifiable assertion or a measurable topic. They assert or declare something that something has existed, something exists, or something will exist based on data. They usually answer the question what or the WH questions. When determining whether something is a claim of fact, the following questions are useful. Is it true or false? Is it existing or not? Did it happen or not? Now, here are examples for claim of fact. Philippines will be the number one English speaking country. The oldest known disease in the world is leprosy. People can reduce the severity of depression by increasing their sunlight exposure each day. Polar bears are on the verge of extinction due to melting ice caps. Cancer is a common disease, but it is not contagious. Smoking causes cancer. You could be called Filipino even if you are not born in the Philippines. The Philippine eagle is a critically endangered species. Columbus's contemporaries thought the earth was flat. These claims can be defended and refuted based on data which can be easily accessible. Furthermore, specific events or incidents may be used to prove the existence or non existence of the claims. Take note that a claim of fact is not really fact. Okay? It may or may not be a fact. It only states a stand regarding a debatable topic. It answers the questions: did it happen? Does it exist? Is it true? Or is it a fact? When trying to find factual claims, terms do not help much, but you can look for time related terms such as in the past, in the future, or causal terms such as leads to, improves, destroys, or is caused by. When authors are making factual claims, they are trying to get you to believe that something is true. But rather than an evaluative statement, they want you to believe something exists or will exist. To better locate their reasons for factual claims, it may help to ask yourself, why do they think what they are claiming is in fact true? Okay, now let's have the claim of value. Claim of value asserts something that can be qualified. They consist of arguments about moral, philosophical, or aesthetic topics. It proves that some things are more or less desirable than others. Claim of value, these are value judgment made based on morals, standards, and norms. In order to discover the explanations for the arguments, you may ask the following questions: is it good or bad? Is it right or wrong? How moral or immoral is it? Of what worth is it? Is it better than the other? Is it ethical or unethical? An author who presents a claim of value attempts to persuade you to approve or disapprove something. This claim argues whether something is good or bad. When authors are making value claims, they are trying to get you to change your attitude or belief. To better locate their reasons for value claims, it may help to ask yourself, why should I believe this? Okay, here are examples. When trying to find value claims, look for terms like valuable, beautiful, interesting, good, bad, evil, right or wrong, superior, best or worse. Okay, and you ask the questions, is it good or bad? If it is bad, how bad is it? If it's good, how good is it? Of what worth is it? Next, we have the claim of policy. It asserts the implementation of a policy and presents a solution to a problem. An author who presents a claim of policy attempts to persuade you to take some action or change a behavior, usually to solve a problem. A claim of value is an argument which asserts the implementation of a certain policy. Oh, sorry, a claim of policy is an argument which asserts the implementation of a certain policy. A claim of policy makes the readers ask themselves, what should we do about it? How should we act? What should our future policy or recommendation be? How can we solve this problem? What concrete course of action should we pursue to solve the problem? When trying to find policy claims, look for the terms like should, ought, and must. Remember that when authors are making policy claims, they are trying to convince you to change your behavior. To better locate their reasons for policy, it may help to ask yourself, why is it a good thing or a bad thing that we do the recommended action? You may also ask the questions, what should be done? What should not be done? How can we solve this problem? What course of action should we pursue? And what is the solution? So here are examples for claims of policy. Okay. The contents of this presentation came from the following sources. That's it for critical reading and types of claims. Thank you, and may the good Lord reward us always.